What's your karaoke song, Shannon?
Valerie by Amy Winehouse.
Ooh, okay.
Sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water. What's your favorite karaoke song, Danny?
It's called Being Sad and Leaving. It's mine.
I love Cher.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Arsehole Cast Pod. I'm Dorby Vorgas, joined today by my lovely guests, Jacques David and D. Shanine.
Mm-hmm. That's us.
Dorby Vorgas.
Dorby Vorgas.
Oh.
Where do you hail
like
from,
that.
Dorby Vorgas?
I'm from Europe.
Sounds
Which part?
Denmark.
Nah, the Europe part.
Well, as you can tell, I am French, but as everyone knows, Jacques David is from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, as we all know. You know what's funny about Europe is I feel like, because my friends started being like, I want to go to Europe. And I was like, yeah, that's a valid want.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, that's fucking insane. You can't just want to go to Europe. That's so broad. That's like saying, I want to go to land. Like,
I would love to go all of Europe. I would love to go
what does
all
that
of Europe.
mean? Yeah, it's like you're not saying
I
anything.
have parts of Europe that I'd like
Then
to
say
see
a
first.
part.
But
You're just being an asshole.
I would go to pretty much.
go to Europe.
Well, people say they want to go to the U.S. and it's just as big as Europe.
Yeah, but we're a country.
Yeah,
Europe
but all the
is
states are
is a
so different
continent.
too. Continent. Oh, that's true.
I want to go to Europe. I want to go to land. Say I want to go to land then.
I think you're getting really caught up on the specifics where you're
To
just
be fair, I
communicating.
said, what do you want to do in Europe? And he didn't have an answer.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like if you asked me that, I'd be like, oh, definitely want to go to Ireland. I really want to see the gates of Thermopylae in Greece. That's like a bucket list thing for me. I think
Yeah.
that's a fascinating moment of history.
The thermometer gates.
I don't know
Thermometer
those.
gates. A bad example because obviously it's historical drivel, but the movie 300.
Oh, okay.
That's an over dramatic representation.
Movie
of
reference limit reached. Oh, I'm
the-
sorry, Jake. We can't do any more movie references this year.
The gates of Thermopylae are a historically important
you were talking
battlefield.
about the
I
other
was
one.
using it
Oh,
as a
it's a
reference point.
battlefield.
Yes, and it was very important to the development of world history.
Danny is being charged $100 per reference. No, Jake, please, dude. This
Oh,
is
you're getting charged?
Well, it charges the pod.
Shit, have y'all seen Three Ninjas?
Tweet, $100. Three Ninjas, Jake.
Yeah,
That's
man,
not
you're
even
losing
a
money for
movie.
Three Ninjas. Oh, it's a movie.
Oh, God.
You don't remember Rocky and Tum Tum? And I honestly can't remember the third one.
$500. Please, no more movie references. We got a juicy up for you guys today. This is crazy.
Backdraft.
We're really working on $700. God damn it, Jake. We've been trying to do all the submissions.
Yeah, we've got a lot.
It's a challenge, but we're working through them. So we're going to do a sub mini to start. AITA for claiming my husband's ID was mine. Now this is this one.
Mm-hmm.
I have a type A personality and enjoy planning things. My husband is happily type B and enjoys taking the back seat going along for the ride, though he's consistently unprepared. So now I carry a large purse stocked with every emergency backup item you could possibly think of. However, on several occasions, my husband has forgotten his ID, and that's proven to be a major inconvenience. So I ordered a backup ID for him. Just recently, we experienced this scenario, and he was beyond relieved that I pulled his backup ID out of my purse so our plans weren't ruined by his forgetfulness. Then it happened again. And guess what? This time, the backup ID wasn't there because he'd taken it from my purse because he, quote, couldn't find his. I snapped. Once again, our plans are ruined. He then turned the tables on me by claiming I had no right to keep his backup ID card. AITA for claiming my husband's ID card was mine.
What a man-child. Get your shit together, honey.
You got to keep track of that ID, Buster.
I know. Like, how old are we? I pulled this shit all the time in college and high school, believe me. But, like, you got to grow up.
Why is she enabling this?
Oh,
I mean, I see
true.
someone here who is like so fucking codependent. It's like you're literally dating a child.
Yeah.
You have a large purse filled with backup items of various kinds.
That's nuts.
I know, but
Stop
still, it's like,
enabling this bullshit.
yeah, but a lot of times it's ruining her night too, and he clearly can't get it together for whatever reason, and so she's like, you know what? I know who I got into a relationship with, and I'm just gonna have to pick up the slack because you can't make people change. They're only gonna change on their own.
But Shannon, you can't enable this. She carries a large purse now.
I
mean,
agree.
what
I agree
is
that it's enabling, but I
this?
also think it's basically surviving. She's trying trying to exist day to day, and it has become enabling when initially it was just like, well, fuck, I've got to figure out a way to like not have this ruin our lives constantly. But once you do it you are right that it's enabling, because once it's an established norm that's there, he's just going to keep doing it. So I agree with you, but I can understand why she started in the first place of just trying to get through these situations. But at this point, yeah, you got to cut this off cold turkey. You got to hang him out on the line a little bit.
Well, and be like, what? Like okay, well, I'm going to still go to the bar. You can go home. Do something like that.
Yeah, something you gotta set these new standard. You can't just keep.
How about before we leave the house, babe, I want you to make a checklist and check that you have your shit.
Yeah, that's true. Getting ahead of it. But also, it's not her responsibility to do that. It's his.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's her responsibility to push back and be like, it's unacceptable that you keep forgetting stuff. It's impacting our life. So figure out a system. I'm willing to help. I'm going to enforce a checklist. But for her to just be like, I will be your Sherpa now and carry along this massive bag of backup equipment.
Massively unfair.
Like, she's setting herself up for resentment as well, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, she says that she is type A and she enjoys planning things, and her husband happily takes the back seat. So it obviously works for them in some kind of scenario. And when he's fucking up her planning, it's bullshit.
OP, thanks for the submission. AITA for claiming my husband's ID was mine. You're definitely not the asshole at all, but I just think you need to I'm concerned about you, because this just seems like you're enabling this to a huge extent. I think you deserve a partner who's a little more on your level. Maybe I'm misreading this.
No,
Maybe
it's her husband.
he's
Come on.
happy-go-lucky.
You guys have to just figure this out and sit down and talk to him and be like, look, we need to figure this out, because I'm not appreciative of the fact that I tried to find a solution and you fucked up my solution to the problem. And so if it is a checklist before we go, that would be amazing. But I don't really want to be picking up the slack all the time. It's not my responsibility to have this checklist, but how about you make a checklist, and before you get out the door, you have to do keys, wallet, phone.
Do the tap.
That's
you gotta
pretty
do the
standard.
Tap.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. I also do not like him at all, how he turned the tables on her by claiming I had no right to keep his backup ID card. It's like, you raised that objection defensively because you fucked up, dog. Like,
right.
So your husband, look.
How about apologize for fucking up?
He owes you an apology. He's acting like a man baby. I think you're catering to it a little too much, OP. I think push back a little bit on this guy. Let's expect a little bit more from this guy.
Yeah, step up to the plate. Because there's a difference between being yes, type A, type B, whatever. One of you is more responsible than the other, but it doesn't mean that you can be like, oh, well, I'm type B. I don't have any responsibilities.
That's not being type B. That's just being shitty.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Type S.
I do love when people will use it. Some people do it with astrology too, of just like, I display the worst possible behaviors you could hope to have as an adult. Guess I'm just a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
It's the star's fault. That's definitely, try that in court.
Although they say Sagittarius is the best sign.
Is that true?
Good for you.
They're saying, oh, actually, never mind.
You set him up for that, didn't you?
No, I didn't know he was.
Oh, I know y'all signs.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on
Patreon,
patreon.com/AITA pod. Our second story of the day, AITA for wanting to be with both my ex-husband and my current husband.
Oh, this one is wild.
This is one of the wildest things I've ever read.
This is a
Oh boy.
submission.
Thanks for the juice in advance.
But first, I guess we're going back to this town, but it was a submission. We appreciate the submission. AITA, if I tell my in-laws to tone down their religious talk.
Oh boy.
My in-laws are very religious. They believe every religion but Christianity is wrong. Oh, okay. That's kind of standard. Hubby, 26M, and I, 25F, had a convo with them a few months ago about not showing our kids 4 and 2 religious shows with graphic images or bad messages. My 4-year-old daughter was having nightmares about bloody Jesus dying on the cross. Anytime she saw anything about other religions, she became aggressive and would scream about Jesus and God being the only real God. Hubby and I are agnostic, which we told my in-laws during this convo. We want to raise our kids to be educated on different religions and let them choose for themselves when they're older and what they want to believe. I don't think they're old enough for religion. We won't force our beliefs on them, and I don't want anyone else forcing their beliefs on them either. Now, mother-in-law has been sending Christian books home with my daughter. My daughter also obsessively talks about death. after coming home from my in-laws' house. I told my mother-in-law the kids are too young to be talking about death. My daughter has also come home crying several times because my daughter will pretend to be a witch, and my mother-in-law keeps telling her witches work for the devil and they're evil, and God won't like my daughter for liking witches because he doesn't like witches. I think that's weird.
I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't think that they work for the devil.
It's just I don't like them.
I don't care for
They
their work.
smell weird, always with a giant pot cooking. No. She also started telling my daughter how I went to church in high school after I started to explain that everyone has different beliefs. But my mother-in-law keeps telling me that she is, quote, supporting me through this temporary phase until I find myself back to Jesus. Feels like she's trying to tell my kids that my beliefs aren't real. I just want her to respect how we raise our kids. I don't want my kids yelling at other people about religion or having nightmares. We are trying to raise our kids to respect and be kind to everyone, no matter what they look like or believe. And my in-laws are tearing that down. My mother-in-law also makes my daughter call her mom, and it is to the point she argues with me about who her real mom is.
What?
My family tells me I would be wrong to talk to them because they're my in-laws and I can't ruin their relationship. They are also our main source of childcare for when we are at work. I'm hoping to start an at-home daycare in the next 6 months so we won't need them anymore. But I worry that I'm too late to fix the damage they've caused AITA if I put a stop to it and risk them cutting us off and losing our childcare.
Oh, I mean, is it worth it to even, I mean, I know childcare is expensive, but like, my God, they're just like,
You gotta end this when you can. I will say, and I hope that this helps you feel a little bit better. You got plenty of time. There is time to reverse the damage. You're worried about the long-term implications here. I was exposed to a ton of crazy religious bullshit on Christianity's side from school, not necessarily from my parents. And I remembered once I came home, I think it was like the first grade, and we had learned about Isaac and Abraham up on the mountain when God asked Isaac to sacrifice, or Abraham asked, I can't remember which one was which, but father is asked by God to sacrifice his son. Yeah. And then at the last second, God is just like, got you, bro. Fucking prank. You were going to do it, though. And I think that's tight. I know that you'll ride or die with me. Yeah. God was like a fucking chaotic gaslighter in this story. But I came home and I asked one of my parents, hey, if God asked you to sacrifice me, would you do it? And when they said, no, we never do that, I was like, I want you to. If God needs that from you, I don't want you. Like, that's how much it fucks with kids. But that instance was a seed that planted for me where later on at I wasn't much older. I think I was closing in on like 10 or 11. That was an instance where I was like, oh yeah, this whole thing's kind of fucked up, isn't it? So you have time. Yeah. You have time. And
also here's another point of view about that is, I went to church every Sunday growing up and I never believed a lick of it.
Oh, there you go.
So she could also just, I mean, it seems like she is kind of repeating this stuff, but you could also have someone that's just like, no, I don't believe it.
I think this is a pretty nuclear situation. I actually think the religious stuff I could almost look a little bit past, but then this thing that mother-in-law also makes my daughter call her mom.
Oh, that's
burying the lead.
That's
insane.
That should be your number one.
And I already know her logic. Her logic is probably like, well, she can't really be a mother because she's not a real Christian mother.
100%.
And that to me is just so toxic and much more harmful and confusing for a child to try to conflate the maternal figure. I mean, that is absolutely criminal. You know, yeah, you could be okay. It's interesting because I think we've been going back and forth on the nature of trauma, but for me, a 4-year-old daughter who's having nightmares is already like kind of having this seeped into their personality formation.
It is.
Get it out.
It is extremely concerning, but I'm personally going, I know too many people who got exposed to this insane shit young who got out of it very young as well because they were able to clock this. And that's not everybody. You can get sucked into it. But the fact she's having nightmares, that's terrifying.
Terrifying.
But I'm with you. The mom thing is you should go nuclear on this.
Oh, I would be livid.
The religion thing is not that concerning to me because it happens to so many kids. It's bothersome. It's a problem. And you should consider it.
And get her out of this situation.
The Jehovah Witness is dangerous, but you won't characterize this child who is being actively harmed.
I think these people are dangerous.
Having nightmares.
I think these people are dangerous.
I think all Jake is saying is that get them out of this situation, but also there's not irreparable damage.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think you need to worry about your kid being permanently.
I don't know that there's not irreparable damage. There certainly, I think there could be.
Well, we don't know.
This is personality formation years. And this is within literally someone you're so intimate with that they are trying to become your mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this to me is just a full scale nightmare. And I'm like, I know money is real, but I'm like, I don't want these kids being watched over by this person. She has no sense of boundaries.
You get the kids out of the situation and you tell them, like, we are removing ourselves from this. We need to see proof that you are going to work on yourselves in this regard. This isn't like this isn't an honor code
and no
thing now.
unsupervised visits.
Oh, absolutely
I think.
not.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, I think if it was just the religion thing and there was an opportunity for them to like have a conversation and dial it
Last
back.
ditch effort.
Well, they've already tried that.
Exactly. I mean, it all fits.
I might have not absorbed
this
that.
is a boundaryless person who is going to do whatever the fuck she wants.
The
Yeah.
mom thing makes it an immediate
Oh my
emergency.
God, and you're like, it's like you want to raise them as your children. That's
Super creepy.
psycho.
And one of the reasons I wanted to cover this too is because I actually think that I've tried to dig into my mind about Catholicism and guilt and stuff. And I actually think this is a very, very key thing that I'd never really realized. It's also death. And it comes at you young, the nature of hell, eternal suffering. And these are nasty, heavy concepts, you know?
Yeah, for
Why are
such a
we
young
there?
age.
The whole hook on Christianity, I think more big selling point on Christianity and old school Catholicism and Southern Baptists in particular, hell is the key to the whole pitch. If hell doesn't exist, why are we even doing this? We're never going to be able to convince anybody to get on board with this if there is an internal punishment after death. So you're getting kids into this morbid reality at a super young age because you need to embed the fear of that eternal damnation into them young.
And it's such a
fear-based.
cruel idea. I mean, the notion, like, you know, obviously people always go to Hitler and I'm like, well, would I have Hitler suffer forever, eternity? No. I would say suffer 100 years for every person you killed, you know, whatever.
Well, sure.
600 million years. 600 million years is a blink of an eye in eternity.
I don't think that there's
you know
years
what I mean?
and time in hell.
Well, it's eternal, right? It's forever.
Yeah, but I don't think you could be like,
You go there forever,
Right.
forever, not
Right.
100 years, not 1,000 years, not 100, forever.
And
like,
we've talked about how they essentially edited the Bible before it went into mass production, or they decided on the canon of it, again, just fan fiction run amok, where the original ending of the Bible was Jesus forgives everybody and no one is in hell anymore. And they changed that because they knew they could never get anybody on board if that's how the Bible ended.
right.
Hey, to me, that's like an obvious conclusion too. You're like, well, if there is a God, you know, I doubt he's going to be like such a huge stickler about all this.
So
shit.
that was the thing that got me to finally officially be, okay, I'm agnostic, was the philosophy of if there are gods and they are just, they do not care who I worship or how I live my life.
Exactly. That's how I feel
so
too.
petty, some of these gods. AITA, if I tell my in-laws to tone down their religious talk, OP, I think we're well beyond that. I think it's not the asshole and they are, but also I think, I don't know. I almost feel like leaving these kids in this situation. I know money's real, but I'm like, get those kiddos out.
Yeah.
Set some firm boundaries. And also, I think your husband needs to be stepping in this situation.
Totally.
These are your in-laws, and I think that he needs to be the one to set them, because if you're the only one that's setting them right now, they're clearly not respecting that.
All right, here we go. AITA for wanting to be with both my ex-husband and my current husband.
Here it is.
Oh, the juice.
I recently reconnected with my first husband who is in prison. I've never fallen out of love with him. However, I am remarried to a great man who I'm emotionally destroying.
Okay.
Originally, we agreed to try being a family. He was happy with the plan. However, now he is struggling when he hears us talk. He is feeling insecure. I love my husband, but my feelings for the first husband have never left. We simply split up because of his location. He's the father of my child and the love of my life. I told my current husband about him when we met, and he didn't care. He didn't expect him to ever return. I want them both, but if I'm forced to choose, I pick the first one. Despite his incarceration, which ends in 4 years, he is the still one true love of my life. I want us to be together, all three of us. Husband 1 is accepting of this arrangement, but husband 2 is distraught. Husband 1 is dominant and husband 2 is passive. I chose this because I cannot truly belong to anyone but husband 1. We lived in a dominance and submission lifestyle 24/7. Now passive husband 2 is freaked out when I say yes sir or call first husband daddy. I have no choice as I belong to him. It has always been this way since we were teenagers. We are now in our late 40s and early 50s. I want to continue my relationship with husband 2 as it is, calm, quiet, peaceful, and I want my master, husband 1, to control me as he always has. I work in a stressful profession and love that I can come home and I don't have to make any decisions when I'm with husband 1. However, with husband 2, he never makes a decision about anything. I have to be in control with him or nothing gets done. Please help me find a balance so that I can keep both of them happy and still get what I want from both of them. AITA.
Okay.
Is this a movie?
Now hold on.
Is this a movie?
Hold on.
It's a good movie.
Here's what you do.
Oh, is this 50 Shades?
This is how you're going to solve the problem, okay?
Let's hear it.
You are going to pick the first husband, and the second husband is going to leave you because this is never going to work. You are asking red to be blue. This is impossible. If you want to have a second husband involved here, a second partner involved here to play this role, you need to get on FetLife and find somebody who's down for this kind of trifecta.
Right, you need to find someone else. Husband number 2 did not sign up for this.
I mean, this is so intense, and I'll admit I'm into dominant submission during sex.
Who's not? Super fun.
Pretty common.
Yeah.
Pretty common. But lifestyle 24/7.
I know, hun.
look,
I'm exhausted.
I know.
Whatever floats your boat.
It's not healthy.
This dude does not want to be a part of this. And maybe he had unrealistic expectations about your first husband never being in the picture again.
Right.
But, oh, God help the guy for loving you. And I don't think you really love this guy. I think you just like the idea of this fitting into the lifestyle you want to live, and that doesn't involve this individual that you're with at all. And
clearly he's so passive that he can't stand up for himself.
The kindest thing you can do here is cutting him loose.
Yeah.
If he's really not going to end this himself, this is never going to work. You're never going to make both of them. Well, his husband 1 would probably be more into this because there's basically a cuck in the situation, and that's going to factor into it. But I think you got to do the responsible thing here and cut him loose. This is not going to work.
Yeah, you're not doing the kind thing to him at all, because I don't think that he's gonna do it. So as Jake said, cut him loose.
I would love to see how the three of us could have possibly formulated a plan as to how to make husband 2 okay with this.
Well, he can't be. Like, he's not even okay with the most basic aspects of this. Yes, sir, or calling daddy.
And he doesn't even want them
like,
talking, period.
Yeah,
well, of course he doesn't. I mean, this is just so chaotic. I mean, I think Jake nailed it. This is like a no-brainer. LP, what you're doing is cruel. You're leading this person on, or at least you're not. I don't know how this is going on. I don't know why he doesn't have the self-respect to just pull out, but like, you can't do this. You can't have 2 husbands. That's just not how it works.
And did you get a divorce from your first husband? How are you married to a second one? It must not be legal.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if we get into the mechanics of that, but
how sustainable is it to, like, with the first guy? It sounds like he's just, I mean, I guess if you're into it, but like very controlling. And I don't know how you can live a life like that where you're just being controlled all the time.
If that's what they're into, that's their thing. There's people who do this, but
maybe in the bedroom, but like all the time, like that makes me worried for her.
I'm not worrying about that as much as how the second guy is being treated, because she seems very down for this. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions. They've been living this way for 30 plus years.
They were teens, yeah.
Well, and I'm like, why? It's also a little weird to me that she had all these feelings for husband 1 and then let this whole thing happen with husband 2.
Yeah, why did you even get remarried?
Why would you get involved with someone who isn't, like, you had a very specific lifestyle in mind? Like, kind of sounds like you have some codependency issues, and now you've really fucked husband number 2. I think that might be my crime there. It kind of sounds like you misled someone to get what you wanted, which was like a nice little backup husband, but you knew the real deal was in prison and you wanted him. And look, that's a lot of people would criticize that, but that's your right if that's what you want. You let him on, and now he's fucked because he's bonded to you.
And even if you didn't lead him on, even if you told him from day one of, I still love this guy in prison.
I have
it's really
never fallen out of
complicated.
love with him.
If you've been that upfront with him, there's still like you're kidding yourself if you think there's a way that you're going to keep both of these guys, because he seems to have really liked you. I don't know. It seems like he has really serious self-esteem issues, but
Yes.
that's allowing you to treat him like this. And it's really bad. I'm not trying to pass a ton of definitely no judgment on your lifestyle, whatever floats your boat. You and prison husband are super into this, but
and if the husband number 2 was into it, I'd be like,
Great.
yeah, girl,
Perfect
like,
stitch for
get
you.
it. I
But
have
he's
no
not.
problem with polyamory, but
he's never going to be into this.
he's not into it.
Yeah,
And you definitely misled him.
She's missing on 2 counts. Like, she's into dominance, dating a passive person. She needs someone who's poly if she's really going to sustain this. AITA for wanting to be with both my ex-husband and my current husband. I'm sorry. Thanks for the submish, but I actually am YTA.
It's
on this.
YTA.
Yeah, YTA.
AITA for leaving a homeless man after he asked me to get him a meal. I was at a busy fast food restaurant and this guy was asking everyone for food. I handed him over my bag of food, but he said he didn't like what was inside and asked if I could buy him something. I said yes, but could he give me a few minutes? I was in the middle of reading and the line was long. So he says, sure. He'll wait, and he goes around the place asking more people for food. He got a couple people to buy him meals. Then he comes back to me eating his meal and says, quote, I'm so hungry I can eat all this and whatever you're going to buy me. So I took the hint and asked him what he wanted, and he said, let's get in line together, and I said, okay. I can't tell if he was disabled or on drugs, but I bring this up not out of judgment because as we were waiting in line, which was still long, his behavior got more and more erratic, and I kind of had a moment like, what have I gotten myself into? So I faked a work call and hauled out. But when I was 3 blocks away, I felt really guilty. My internal monologue was like, this poor guy was hungry. This is why God hates you. You promised him a meal. And I hustled back to buy him food, but he was gone. I asked if he was around and where he went, but the people who were there from before said he'd eaten like 5 burgers and not to worry about it. But I feel terrible. I can't tell anyone I know this story because they would justifiably cut me out of their lives. You are my priest. You are my priest. This is my confessional.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
please do not be hard on yourself.
No, you're being way too harsh
Oh
here.
my God. And
Are we a dominance and submission podcast? I didn't know we were priests in a confessional.
Kinky. I mean, gosh, if your family and friends would cut you out of their lives, I can't even imagine who you're hanging out with.
How often are your family and friends talking about, like, I buy so many burgers for homeless people. I never say no to buying a burger for a homeless person.
Yeah.
And like, I think this is also like society's the asshole thing. It's
yeah.
like, you know, nobody likes to be with unhoused neighbors in our establishments, like, because they usually smell bad. And it's like, that's society's fault. Like, this is a problem. Like in Amsterdam, I remember when I went, I literally saw like 1 homeless person.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, other
Yeah.
societies have actually solved for this. They have good social safety nets, and like, it's just not a thing. Nobody wants to be begging, really. Like, it's embarrassing.
No, it's an
shameful.
incredibly dehumanizing feeling to have to do that. I've never had any kind of ill will towards anyone having to do that, but I think that once somebody is inside a restaurant and actively going around, I've been in situations in LA where that's happened. I have a ton of sympathy, but you're putting people in a really tough position when you do that, and you're kind of catching them and I don't think you should feel bad about not wanting to do this. And also, this dude was killing it. He sounds like he's Wimpy from Popeyes, just gobbling down hamburgers.
So hungry.
And also, you did attempt to get him one, but he made you uncomfortable. You can leave any situation where your safety is being compromised.
I think that's well put.
Not to use the term beggars in like an application to to unhoused person, but literally beggars can't be choosers. You offered him food. He looked at it and said, "Nah, I don't want that." Like you did do your societal
I think that's
duty.
fair.
Like, I don't think you did anything
I know
wrong
there's
here.
been times where like I'll give an unhoused person like a granola bar, like because a lot of times I keep snacks in my car to give to them.
Yeah.
And when they're like, oh no, I don't like that. I'm like, okay, like you just want money then.
What more do you want?
Which, no, and I can understand that of like you know, when you think about the logistics of you need Advil, you need whatever, you need basic, simple over the like 7-Eleven level medicine, whatever it is.
Sure.
So cash can be more valuable than food. If you're already full, you don't need the food and you've got to survive. So I understand sometimes rejecting food, saying I kind of just need cash right now. That never upsets me, and I know it does with some people. But once somebody like you, if they're asking for food, you offer them food, and they say I don't want this. It's just like, okay, I can't do anything more for you. This is the food I have.
You're like the personal door dasher now. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as you to say like, oh, this is individual agency. I think if you see a homeless person and you're not in a rush and you have some time, like, you know, give them a little food.
No,
They're fucking
all
begging.
for that.
Like, I don't think it makes you an asshole, but like, I think have some humanity, you know, and I think it feels good. I think it's a good deal. I'm always happy to give a homeless
but this person
food.
did everything that empathy
No,
demands.
totally. I was talking just generally,
Sure.
you know, I think this person got themselves in a bit of a sitch, got uncomfortable and left. And I totally understand it. I mean, this has happened to me. I think I've already told you guys this story, but there was like a meth head and he wanted headphones and a charger.
Yeah, you've told me
and
about
I was like,
this.
I don't want you to walk with me to my car, but like, I'll bring it to you. So meet me at Donuts, Ice Cream, Hot Dogs, Cigarettes, honey. And I'll bring it. And I did. And it was fine.
Oh, that's nice.
You
I mean,
know?
it definitely feels good to help people out 100%. But like I was
If
saying,
you felt uncomfortable, you felt uncomfortable.
And he ate 5 burgers.
It is.
Nom, nom, nom,
It
nom,
takes
nom. The Hamburglar.
some brass cojones to be actively eating burgers and be like,
Oh,
I gotta tell you, I could eat like 5 more of these bad boys. You want to help me out with
There
that?
are more food for me. Oh, I'm just eating. AITA for leaving a homeless man after he asked me to get him a meal. I mean, he's homeless. I don't think we're gonna rip him up.
No, we're not,
I'm
yeah.
ready to go no assholes here on that.
Yeah, no
I think
assholes
this
here.
is- yeah,
And
no
please
assholes
do
here if
not
there
be
ever was
hard on
one.
yourself the way you are.
God,
My
if you think we're
goodness.
priests, oof,
Ooh,
that's
baby.
a wild church. I can tell you that.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Over 150 bonus episodes, vibrant Discord. You can talk to Jake. You can talk to Shannon. It's a magical place.
Yes, it is.
You can scream at me. There's just all kinds of different yelling you can do.
That's a lot. Yeah,
It's
you
a lot
can-
of yelling.
A lot of yelling.
It's a lot
But
of-
also cat pictures. There's
Yeah.
cat pictures.
Here we go. AITA for slapping my boyfriend after he said I could. Last night, my boyfriend and I, both 23, got into a huge fight. We don't normally fight, and we have an extremely healthy ship. Usually, we always communicate calmly, forgive. But this conversation was not a good one for us, and for a few reasons. We've been together a year and a half. Anyway, this last week, his aunt passed, and we attended the funeral together. It was also the anniversary of his brother's passing, who was only 28 when he died of cancer, so it is a very difficult subject. My BF was going through a lot, but he doesn't show a lot of emotion about it because I think he is just past expressing it. I'm very emotional and can cry pretty easily. I'd asked him if he wanted to discuss things multiple times, but he declined and acted normal. We were laying in bed, and he said how he has been distant recently and asked if I noticed. I really hadn't, but even if I had, I just assumed it would be the stuff going on, you know, with the losses in his family. But he told me it wasn't that. He said he didn't want to be around me because he was having trouble separating things about me that frustrated him from our relationship. He then named the 2 things: the way my family treats me badly and the fact that I complain about my weight, but haven't been able to lose any recently because of being diagnosed with a heart condition. He said that I don't take his advice seriously about weight loss and that it annoys him when my family treats me badly because they celebrate my brother but not me. I told him that this was the worst thing he could have said to me because they were out of my control, and I've been trying to eat healthier, but it's not possible for me to work out like I used to, and so I've gained weight and I'm insecure. He knew all of this already. He said he loves the way I look and doesn't think I need to lose weight, but thinks that I need an attitude adjustment about it because I talk about myself negatively, which I do and I'm working on. I cried all night and he didn't shed a tear. I told him he was being selfish and telling me that it bothers him that my family treats me badly only made me feel worse. At one point in the argument, he said, quote, "I shouldn't have said that. You can slap me if you want." And almost out of reflex, I did. Not hard, but it was definitely a slap. I apologized immediately, but I was surprised by myself because I would absolutely have never hit him in any way whatsoever and never have. But watching him stare at me without shedding a tear while I saw because he had used my deepest insecurities against me made me snap. He and I have both apologized, and I'm not crying anymore, but I don't know what to do. We definitely don't want to break up, and he is seeking therapy now, but I don't know how to forgive him as easily as I normally do because I have been by his side all week, and I think it may have just been like a pressure cooker situation. But I can't stand the idea that I actually slapped him, but I also can't believe he said those things to me knowing how much they affect me, which he did, and watch me sob while I didn't shed a single tear. AITA.
I mean, he got a receipt for the purchase he requested, so I don't think anything that's not what I'm concerned about here.
I think it's a bad impulse. I think I can recall times having this impulse, like hit me if you want. I don't think this should be indulged on either party. Just there's no reason to be hitting. Try hugging.
Well. I can think of one, but
Talking
we're not in that situation.
We're not talking
right
about
now.
a bar fight. We're talking about an intimate.
No, I'm not talking about a bar fight. I'm talking about consensually.
Oh, DS. Yeah, you're back on DS.
Yeah, we're already talking about it.
DS
but I don't think that's what's happening here. I was
Yeah.
hoping that this would turn into, a dear penthouse situation. It did not.
I think this is a bad impulse. I think shut this down. Like if
Okay.
you have the thought like, oh, I want to let this person hit me.
Not a
or-
good, yeah.
It's just not a good expression. I don't think this is going to do a lot of healing
Well, it's
because
not gonna help.
it's
not gonna
also-
help her heal.
exactly. It's the wrong no. It's like you're trying to physicalize this emotion, which is understandable. But usually we were just talking about punching a fucking hole in the wall. Like this is not productive activity. This is
No.
not what
It's not
quells
gonna
anger.
solve the problem.
No, not at all.
That's another
So
layer to what has happened in the conflict now. It's, it doesn't take any
He
pressure off
offered
anything.
it. She indulged it. For that reason, though, I don't think it is.
It's
Oh,
not
I
the
don't
matter.
think that
Not the matter at hand.
No. And if anything, it like now gives him ammo to be like, well, you slapped me
If he
instead of the
says
real
that-
problem at hand. But it sounds like he's not holding it against her.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
like she
didn't-
just has a little guilt around it.
Seems like he's fine with that. Honestly, it sounds like he's emotionally dead right now, which kind of makes sense. Anniversary
His
of a brother
aunt's
death
passed, and an anniversary of his brother's passing, who was 28 when he died of cancer. So he's
and
got a
maybe he's
lot.
projecting.
I think he's emotionally numb right now, and he's finding ways to express that in really unproductive ways.
Yeah.
Both of the things that he brought up also, those aren't things you should convey in vent sessions where you're criticizing. Those are things that should come from support, and you should let your partner lead the dance on supporting you.
Well, the first one is so odd.
Super personal.
Why is the way he's saying that he's been distant because of the way her family treats her? It's like this
Yeah.
doesn't really emotionally add up.
We also
How
don't
is
know
that
if
in
that's
her
gaslighting.
control at all?
Yeah, it's
Well, and why would that be so bothersome to you and be mad at her for that?
You would
it
think
doesn't
you would
make
want to
any
support her
sense.
through that.
that's where the therapy for him is really important, because he's conjoining that with something going on his life. He has to be. There's no way that you're that critical over somebody else's situation without you feeling like it's mirroring something going on in yours.
Well, I think that is what I see about this guy too, because he's also mad that she doesn't take his advice seriously about weight loss.
Which that one
And
is, oh God.
That is so batty when people. I mean, it's just controlling. It's just controlling.
Yep.
I want to control you. I want to tell you what to do. I think men slip into this a lot, and it becomes like pure advising, pure coaching, and it's like sometimes people just need to get things out. I will say though, on the male side here, I have been in a relationship where someone constantly complained about their weight, and that is fucking annoying as well. I understand. I
Yeah.
understand it's hard for women out there. I get it.
No, I
But,
have
like-
that in my relationship now, where my boyfriend's been struggling. He's doing keto right now, actually, but he's been struggling
Yeah.
for years.
He's
and-
beautiful.
and
What's the issue?
I know it's like it's his own thing where he's insecure about his body. I don't have a problem with that at all, but it's just like he wants to be the weight that he was years ago, and it's been
Yeah.
years now, and it is a little bit frustrating for me because I'm like, well, could you do something about it then? Like, I don't mind me, I'm still very attracted to him, but for
It's-
his
well,
sake, I want you to feel good about yourself.
It's aimless venting that I think is toxic, where it's like you're like to vent once, to vent twice, but like you're venting about something that was within your power. That starts to get a little bit toxic, where it's like you need therapy. Like, this is a repeated issue. I can't sustain this any longer. I think that's a valid response.
Playing it as it lays in this situation, she's been diagnosed with a heart condition.
Yes.
We don't know the details of that, and she's changing the way that she eats to monitor the situation. But diet alone can be a tricky way to change your body's look, and that can be super frustrating when
Yeah.
your hands are tied behind your back and you don't have a way to really dig in. It sounds like she was working out before, so it's not like she wasn't doing something about it already.
Right.
So I think that the big gaffe on his end here, body image, weight loss, that's not something that you're not going to be helpful as a partner through criticizing on that. And that is what you're doing.
I think that's what this was. I think he's channeling something here because it doesn't sound like he's emotive. He's definitely got a lot of grief and pain
Yep.
he's dealing with. And I think this is coming out as like, I'm going to be hostile and negative.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really seem like he's even necessarily mad about her body. He's just wanting to control her, which isn't it interesting? He doesn't have a lot of control right now because he just lost his aunt. He hasn't emotionally processed this. And so I'm almost willing to chalk this up to like just chaos, emotional chaos.
Pressure cooker was a great use of word there, OP. I think that he's definitely in a pressure cooker situation. This is, I feel like a lot of the times we cover like really shitty dudes in these kind of moments. And I there's nothing here that makes me think that he's permanently going to be in this bad space, but he definitely needs therapy.
Right.
I
And
think
she
that's
said
key.
he's doing that,
and
so that's great.
So that's good. Instead of taking support from you, he's emotionally shutting himself down and trying to make you the problem. No, he's the one with the problem.
I think this is a thing too. Guys pushing. I mean, I know it with some guy friends, and it's like we push away. We have an inclination to push away. And I don't know what it's made of, but it's maybe like my position not being respected. You leave tribe now. It's like a shunning mechanism. It's awful.
It can also be you have no idea how to cope with the emotions that you need. And we're so conditioned. We grow up in a society that conditions us that needing help and needing support is weakness. So you're so abhorred by the idea of needing help that you'll do anything to avoid that being the case. So you'll find faults with others, you'll throw blame around, you'll create issues. Like I think the bringing up the family thing is like, that's none of your business, man. That's something for her to talk about.
Right. And something that you should be supporting her through.
Well, he's pushing her away. That's how I read it. So I'm like, why is he doing that? And he's very withdrawn.
Yeah.
He's not feeling his own emotions.
The fact he's not crying, and also, like, I'll be honest, I think him requesting the slap, now I'm kind of seeing a pattern here. He's trying to feel something.
Yeah, I had that thought as well.
He's trying
Slap
to...
me so I feel something, anything.
Yeah, and that's really
numb.
sad. It's not sexy. Slaps can be sexy, but this is not one of those times.
A weird way to go.
But I also understand why OP is feeling upset about this. Like, you have every right. I think that this would affect me for a while, regardless of the grief that my boyfriend's going through.
Oh my God. He like basically jabbed you repeatedly for no reason.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, you know, try and give the benefit of the doubt as much as you can. But I think definitely hold your ground when you guys are working this out and being like, that's not appropriate for you to say to me. Yeah. No matter the grief you're going through, because if we want to make this work out in the long run, we're going to be going through a lot of shit in our lives. Like if we have children, the stuff that we're going to have to go through together, and I don't find it appropriate for you to take it out on me.
Definitely.
You've got it. This guy has to learn how to channel his emotions and feel his feelings and get in there. Because I think when you don't do that, it does come out and you get nasty.
Yeah.
I think
you got to control that.
AITA for slapping my boyfriend after he said he could. I am ready to say this guy's being an asshole.
Yep.
I mean, it is definitely a get therapy fest, but like when you're channeling your grief as hostility toward your partner, you need it.
Yeah, grief isn't an excuse, it's a cause. And when you wield it as an excuse, you are capable of doing some really shitty stuff.
AITA for slapping my boyfriend after he said I could. I think we agree wholeheartedly. It's NTA.
NTA. I'm so sorry you're going through that.
Sorry,
Me
OP.
too.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up here on AITA for dropping out of my best friend's wedding 3 months in advance. I, 23F, and my best friend, 24F, have been best friends since middle school, so about 10 years now. To paint a picture, I've had horrible luck in relationships and haven't always dated the best guys, mostly alcoholics. My best friend, Maggie, fell in love with our mutual friend in high school, and they have basically been together ever since. Maggie and her SO are getting married in May. When they got engaged, I was immediately asked to be a bridesmaid. I said I would, but it came with a stipulation from Maggie that my now fiance, 32M, would not be welcome. We've had past relationship issues involving his drinking, and although we have decided to move past them, Maggie said she couldn't forgive him and doesn't want him around. Right after Maggie got engaged, I found out I was pregnant. Maggie was over the moon excited about the baby and even changed her mind about my fiance, the baby's father, coming to the wedding. Since I said I wouldn't be comfortable traveling with a newborn by myself or leaving him for the week, I would need to travel for the wedding. They live in a different state. In November, my fiance got into some legal trouble from drinking and spent a month in jail. We're currently working through this issue together and going to counseling. Today, Maggie let me know my fiance is no longer welcome at the wedding. said that was fine, but I still needed him to come and he could stay with the baby at the Airbnb. I was told he isn't welcome to come near her or the wedding at all. I told her, quote, then I will not be able to make it and you could pay me back for the Airbnb. She then said I could bring my mom if I was worried about the baby. I explained that wouldn't work because my mom can't get the time off work to go and my father's having some health issues. She then told me I was being a bad friend by dropping out of a wedding 3 months in advance and not giving her enough time to find a replacement. I apologized, but told her my child comes first and not having the baby's father there would make it impossible for me to participate in bridesmaid activities anyway. I don't think I was in the wrong here, but maybe I'm just being defensive. AITA.
I mean, this one's wild. Like, I just don't understand why he wouldn't be able to stay at the hotel. She's banning him from.
I don't know. He's in jail again after a long history of boozing and... You know, it just seems like this guy is an instrument of chaos. It's her wedding. It's her choice.
Yeah, but the hotel's like nowhere near the venue.
I didn't really
understand. They can get a hotel room somewhere else and he watches the baby while she goes to the wedding. What, you think he's going to show up and be like, you know,
crime time, baby.
But then why? But no, hold on. Here's the problem. I agree with you that if it was an independent hotel, that would be insane. It's like, well, I can't manage my affairs how I want.
Yeah.
But then why would she have to? OP says that I will not be able to make it and you could pay me back for the Airbnb. So I think the Airbnb is shared with other people.
Okay. Well, then maybe they should just get a hotel room off to the side.
That could be a solution. But I also don't feel like OP is being super unreasonable and just saying like, I want to drop out because, you know, obviously you have issues with my partner. He was in jail and... I feel like that's
being reasonable or unreasonable.
I feel like both people are honestly kind of within their bounds. Like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this guy being at my wedding. Hey, I'm not comfortable attending. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see any issue with that. You both had a clear communication. 3 months feels like plenty of notice.
Yeah.
You know, what's the problem here? I'm feeling like this is a pretty easy one.
Well, I guess everyone's within their rights, but I can see why feelings are getting hurt.
Totally.
Feelings are tricky. They can be hurt over anything, and like the right or wrong doesn't matter with feelings.
You don't have to be an asshole to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah.
Like rejection hurts, right? You get a job interview. It's not like they're being an asshole. They just can only hire one person.
Right.
You know, they are an asshole because they're a corporation, but you know.
I think 3 months is plenty of time. It's not like it was 3 days or even 3 weeks. 3 months is a pretty good time.
Hugely.
But I think there's also other solutions, like how she did say her mother could come. And I mean, I guess it isn't a newborn, so it would be good to have someone with the baby on site. So yeah, why not try a different solution? It seems like maybe you're just not trying to make any solution work because you're trying to like stick up for your husband, baby daddy.
I think OP is very hurt by this. This is very offensive. Right. I think OP is in a tough situation. I hope you climb out of it, dear OP. It looks like you like this guy a lot. You know, he's had some problems with booze. Maybe he's on the up and up. I can only pray. It can be tough. I mean, I knew a person who struggled in and out of rehab for like 5 fucking years, you know, but they're finally out now and they're finally over it. I hope we're at the end of that wave for you. You know, I don't love the age gap here. You're 23F dating a 32-year-old male who, you know, just went to jail for drinking. This is not a great situation, but if you love this guy and he's trying his best, we can hope with you. But I do think your friend has a right to be like, I don't want that guy near my wedding, dog.
Yeah.
Like
it's not your wedding. It's not your wedding. It's theirs. They get to set their own boundaries for that. It's one of the few days in your whole life where it's about you and your partner.
And I understand why people are skeptical about this individual. Sounds like he's been drinking a while. Now he just went to jail for drinking. It's a bad rap.
Let's get that guy to a wedding. You know, the place where everybody makes great choices with alcohol all the time.
Served super responsibly.
Well, is it a cash bar? Because nobody drinks at a cash bar.
Yeah, right. I'm a teetotaler when it's a cash bar. No. Yeah, I guess OP, I wish you the best, but I think you're going to face some resistance in this relationship, but hopefully you're on the up and up and it turns around. Nonetheless, I think we're all aligned here. We're
Yeah.
strangely quiet.
It's a quick one.
It was a quick one.
There's just not a lot of juice here, unfortunately. This is not to say it's juiceless, but
No, there was juice. It was interesting. We had prison, or I guess it's just
I
jail.
feel,
It's just
yeah,
jail.
I feel like
It's just jail.
juice is more when there's like, ooh, so many elements to this, and this is just people making decisions that are within their right
Yeah.
to make for themselves.
I just think there's other
A much
solutions.
less sexy podcast.
I just think there's other solutions that could have been made, especially because they're best friends. You're gonna miss your best friend's wedding
Since middle school.
Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have no one can watch. I don't know how old the baby is again, or the newborn, but like there was no one else that could come. Like I just feel like there's got to be other solutions, and if this is worth risking your best friend, your relationship, it sounds like it's not gonna go well. You're gonna miss your best friend's wedding. Why? Figure it out.
Honestly, this might be a time to tell this guy, hey, I'm with you. I support you.
Yeah.
Not everyone does. And I'm going to this fucking wedding.
I honestly think you should. I mean,
think
if we can catch you in time before the wedding, I think you really got to make it work.
I think he owes you that.
Yeah.
I think he does. You know, you're giving him a lot of grace, but he's had drinking problems before. And then he
Right.
had one just recently, and this is your best friend. I think he needs to put his ego away and needs to encourage you to go and have a great damn time.
Totally. He should be supportive of your friendship. And, I hope things work out with you and this guy because, he's the father of your child and that would be best case scenario. And he hope he gets his head screwed on straight. But if it doesn't work out at the end of the day, who are you going to have by your side?
Yeah.
Your best friends should always come first, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you all on that
In
for
certain
sure.
situations, of course, but
Right. In this one, I
For
think
10
it's
years.
also,
Yeah.
I mean, just personally, like anytime Jackie is a function and she tells me, oh, you don't need to come, I'm so fucking stoked. I'm so stoked. I don't have to go to a
Yeah.
social
Oh my
event.
God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Max
I know
loves that.
That's a good point. She's taking it very personally, it seems, but
The
he
guy probably doesn't
wouldn't.
give a
Yeah, he probably doesn't
Oh,
give a
I
fuck.
wanted to stay home and drink.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. I think that you should probably consider being the one to swallow this. It's your friend's.
think
It's your
so,
friend's
too.
wedding. It's your friend's wedding, and like put it to the side. Go have a good time. You don't need to bring your boyfriend
Yeah.
to a wedding. You don't
Definitely not. Go have a good time with your gals.
dance.
AITA
Dance.
for dropping out on my best friend's wedding 3 months in advance. I think we nonetheless agree it's no assholes here.
No assholes.
Yeah, no assholes here.
Oh, all right, guys. That is the episode. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Back.
It was stuck in your throat.